Good morning. Today is Wednesday, the 4th of December, and welcome to Saba's Way of Life. Those of you who watch all the videos might have seen that yesterday's upload on Cellular Awakening, the book reading I'm doing, it was number 5, this morning was taken down by the YouTube moderators. Now, I'm quite familiar with my work being taken down because we know that the ability to speak freely is being strangled and monitored in these times. I don't think it's anything new. Those of you watching my channel will be fully aware of this. But I was actually reading from a book. It's a published book that you can buy. And I was reading from this fantastic author, Barbara Wren. And in yesterday's reading, which the total video was 14 minutes long, but the reading must have been about 9 or 10 minutes. And then I introduced on either side. But she was talking about childhood therapeutics that are given to children when they're born. So I'm not sure what part of it wasn't liked by the artificial intelligence, but it wasn't. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up an account on Odysee where many people who've had similar experiences with their videos being censored, they set up there. And currently it's not an issue. It's a kind of independent platform so far. So all I'm going to do is set up a little channel called Censored Videos, and just pop them up there. In the meantime, what I would recommend that you do is buy this book, because there is something, obviously, I've said that has not been accepted by the moderators, and it's something you should critically be aware of so that you can make your own choices. Of course, I'm in a place where I know now what I was saying was absolutely true and needed to be said. But there's something else that I want to speak to you about. This entire channel is about a way of thinking. It's really teaching you how to think and how to take command of your thought processes. So when I had a really deep think about this this morning rather, during my silent time, I recognise that, you see, artificial intelligence is very, very advanced now, and it doesn't just censor. If a particular video is censored, I don't believe it's just because of that video. I believe it's because that video gave the algorithms some reason to censor it, which is written in the algorithms that if you mention this word or that word, it should be censored. Now, a lot of the information I put out, almost all of it, is teaching you how to think, but a lot of it cannot be censored because the algorithms can't pick up those words in context to censor it. Does that make sense? The idea is that they're looking for a reason to, because what I'm about is how to think, and I'm explaining to you how to use everything in context, which is why I keep mentioning that you need to watch all the videos, or if you're reading a book, you need to read the entire book and really focus so that you understand it. Do you see? And once the understanding comes in, it can't be taken out. Then from that point, you'll act. That's why there is a grab for our attention for very short span things, so that our brain itself diminishes and can't think like that. It can't think from the whole. This is what I want to explain to you, because when you start thinking big and from the whole, not in short bursts, you start connecting and putting things together. And this is how the human being was once upon a time. That's why reading the right books and really being engaged in the books is very, very important. But books from the right authors, and then spending time in silence, because silence isn't in short bursts, is it? It's just silence. And the brain itself starts to figure things out, and the right thoughts come into your mind, resonating at the right frequency. Now, on that note, today's video is kind of an expansion on this whole thing I'm talking about on knowing and understanding how to think. There is really, in today, the real war, and I mean war, is on attention grab. The war is to grab your brain's mind so that it can't think for itself and it can't connect to the photonic light coming in, which is going to illuminate your mind. Barbara Wren talks a lot about this as well. When you start thinking differently, the information that comes in, you start perceiving it differently. And I talked about perception yesterday as well. So one of the things that I'm actually doing for myself, and I want to share this with you, is I talk about writing down a list of everything to do on a Sunday evening, and then literally a brain download onto paper with pen and paper, not on this. Something happens when you actually write pen to paper. The information sinks in a different way. So write it down, and then you carry out those tasks day to day. Now I'm going to take it one step further, because it isn't enough for many people, and even for myself, I'm noticing that I'm kind of slacking in some way, and I'm constantly being aware of how my mind, am I in charge of it, or is something else in charge of it? So what I've done, and this is a really good exercise, is I have said to myself, okay, there are 7 days in a week, we know that, and out of those days, 8 hours we're asleep, or hopefully you should be. I'm going to talk about this 8-hour sleep. I did a video on this and how important it is. But there are certain people on a certain frequency that actually don't need to sleep that long. But I'm not going to mention that now because that will confuse you. For now, the majority of us are I'm speaking to the audience that's unwell, that's been taken over. You need to make sure you sleep properly so that you can think well. Let's do stage by stage. This is important. This is really important because it's not I don't want to digress. Right. So 8 hours I put aside for sleep. So out of the rest of the 24 hours, you've got 16 hours left. Now, you do a literal calculation. So I've got my calculator here. I've got this old calculator. Look at that. Solar one. 16 times 7 days in a week. You know where I got the 16 from. That's 112 hours. So just so that you understand, okay, 24 hours day and night, 8 hours you're asleep. That leaves 16 hours to do things, right? I know some of you go to work for 8 hours, but many people are working from home these days. So let me just finish what I'm saying. So you've got 16 hours, you times that by 7. So 16 waking hours times 7 comes to 112. Put that down on a piece of paper. Now, separate to that, you must write down, and try to do this in a diary that you keep so you know where everything is. It's in one place. You write down what the most important priorities are to you. Now, if you have to work 8 hours a day, then obviously that's a priority. It may not be what you want to do, but right now it's what you need to do because you've got to earn money and pay the bills and the mortgage and slave away and pay your taxes. So you would have to put that into your calculation. But for those of you that work for yourself, it's really important to focus, and this is what I do. What is it that's a priority in your life? You could use the word goal. So let me just give you my example. I'm on a wonderful naturopathy and Eastern medicine course That is an absolute priority, because at the end of those 2 years, I want to be able to treat, and I will be treating, friends and family. And then after that, there'll be further study, specialising. So that's a priority. I know I want to spend 3 hours a day studying in this field to be able to complete the actual course in good time, but also have enough time to be able to absorb and understand, not memorize the information, but actually understand what I'm reading. So I've allocated, out of those 112 hours, 3 hours a day, and you times that by 7, 21. I'm working on a week, right? 21 hours. Now, in the same vein, what I have done before I allocated the hours, I don't want to confuse you, you write all the things that are important to you. So for me, I've written down silent time, meditation, cook, very important, it's a priority, study, care for parents, walking, exercising, baking. I've kept that separate because that's not a daily thing that I have to do, but I do it. Gardening, growing, cleaning, maintaining the garden, shopping, self-care, reading. I haven't put sleep in because I've not counted those hours within my calculation. That is 8 hours a night, full stop. Whether I sleep or not for 8 hours, I've allocated that. Ironing, house cleaning, you can even write socialising, going out to explore. So anyway, I did all of these things and I totted up, and that came to 97 hours. Now, I already discussed there are 112 hours in a week. So 97 taken away from 112 leaves 15 spare hours. That gives me plenty of a buffer. Now, I even included social media time in here. I've written down how long I want to spend on social media a day. It's no more than an hour. And that is giving you, doing these videos, loading them up and working on a plan. But of course, YouTube for me, I don't consider social media because I don't use it as a social thing. I use it to learn. That would be in education time using the phone or the laptop. I'm very, very particular, right? I'm in control of this. This is not in control of me. That's the key. There's nothing wrong with it, but you control it, so you tell it what you want to see. Now, there's another reason for that. The other reason for that is that artificial intelligence is here. It's reading every one of your thoughts. And it does that by knowing what you type in and what you're watching. So it will give you more of the same. I've spoken about this before. So if you want to nourish your brain and expand it, you want to feed artificial intelligence, these robots. Imagine that it's a robot that's out there that's mirroring your brain. You don't want to mirror it. It needs to mirror you. So you're going to put things out there that are nourishing. Send me more information on metaphysics. I will be searching for metaphysical videos. Bruce Lipton, for example, is one of them. And various others that I read about, then their information starts to come in. If there's information that I want on scripture, and I'm not talking about nonsense scripture, certain scripture, then more information like that will come in. If you want information on how to become healthy or exercising in a certain way, you put that in. If you pop nonsense in, the degenerate nonsense, then you're going to get more of that, and that kind of pond, I call it pond life, amoeba, single cell brain information will come into you. You don't want that. It's very important, okay? Once you've done that, so I've done this exercise, then what you do is you sit down and you know how many hours a week on cooking, on studying, on meditation, on exercise, and then you divide it by 7 to give you the number of hours per day, roughly, and then you can make your plan. And when you write your plan down, it becomes a schedule. that you follow. And I know it may seem excessive, but in today's times, it isn't. Because once upon a time, folks, we weren't so dumb to have to do this. The thing is, this is the information age, and it is literally parasiting off of our brain. You all know this, so that we don't know which way to turn, how to think, what to do. And this is so equally as important and critical for your children to learn this. How to think. So we have to train our brains how to be human again. Because once upon a time, we just knew. We didn't even have to write this down. We didn't write. We just knew everything in our heads. Look how far we have degraded as a race. Start questioning this. Take charge of your mind. So this is a very, very powerful exercise, and I'm doing it, and I'm going to start working with it from Sunday, the beginning of the week, or Monday. But it will all be set out and very, very clearly. Now, the other benefit of actually doing this is that it opens your eyes and you think, good grief, what have I been doing with all these hours? What do I spend my time on? What am I wasting my life away on? What use am I to society? Really absorb what I'm saying, because this will help you illuminate your mind to what you're doing and why you're here. Why are you even here? What is the purpose of your existence? What are you doing it for? See, many people don't recognize this until they're on their deathbed. That's too late. And I'm going to put little things, there's so much I want to share with you, but I can't do it all in one go. You know, I've mentioned to you that I have read so much over the last 10 or 15 years that it's just too much to put out. And even myself, I've got written down in here that things I read, I've got to share this, I've got to write this down, and then I don't. And then I share it to some saved place on the phone, and then I forget about it. But of course, a lot of it sinks in. I'm going to be a little bit more organised in making sure when I read these things and my mind is illuminated, that I have somewhere I actually physically write them down. And it's difficult because there's so much to do in the day, but I have probably a lot more time than many of you. I don't know, but I aim to use every minute of my time wisely. Also, on another note, you'll also be aware that time seems to be going very fast. Well, it's not seems, it is. I'm going to talk about the Schumann resonance, which is just one easy element of it to understand, to explain what is happening in our cosmos to speed up time and why it's happening. The old system is collapsing. Power, profit, control, greed, those who want to bring in a lot of money, and that's all it's about, is collapsing. It's not going to survive. But in the process of that happening, it's going to take down a lot of societies and people with it. And that is why, because nature will always get her way. The cosmos, nature, the universal mind will always prevail. But where we are today, that is happening, and it's happening at fast pace. So it's very important that you take charge of your mind, and that these exercises I'm talking about, the ultimate goal is for you to know who you are and start to live from a different source, and your children need to understand this too. This is the essence of everything that I share on this channel. Even when I'm talking about food, understand why. I hope you have a good day. If you get the time, make the time and do this exercise. It's extremely powerful. And once I've uploaded that video, obviously I've still got the video that was taken down yesterday. It was only 14 minutes book reading. I will share it on Odysee, and if you set up an account with Odysee, it's an alternative type of YouTube channel where, as far as I'm aware, it's not controlled in the same way. There's some element of freedom of speech. Then you can watch that video there. All the censored ones I'll put up there. In fact, I might do a playlist of censored videos and then upload everything that I do on there as well. But that will take time. So priorities first, as I've said. Okay, have a wonderful Wednesday.